Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at an odd cannon deck. It's very interesting. Just got a few cards you don't normally see, you know, like Romeo. He's very rarely used. Juliet's very popular, but Romeo's just one of those cards that never sees much play, so why not? Darksaber Melissa, another card that really doesn't see a lot of play now, but has some potential when it comes to defense, and I like that about it, so why not? Otherwise, it's mostly commanders flooding this deck with a few officer support cards, like Quick Blader, which is just too good to pass up, and Frontline Cavalier that summons officers off itself, and stuff like that. So really cards like that help out. Overall, really just pulling those commanders as much as possible. Really wanted to give this deck a shot, at least in the current meta, see how it goes, and why not with how good Sword is with the cards that it's gained. I mean, it's got some crazy stuff, so why not? Let's check it out. So the first game is against Blood, the second game will also be against Blood. They were the two matches that I could actually get this deck to work well on. A few other matches just were nowhere near as good. So these two were probably the best. I think this one's without Sword, without the cannon going off, and the next one is with cannon going off. So you get to see both kind of sides of the playstyle, one that plays more like the standard mid-range Sword, and one that focuses more on the cannon play. So we start off really well with a Chromatic Duel, pretty great in this kind of matchup. I decided to hold it just in case, thinking, you know, I don't really need to use it immediately on turn 1 here. Don't really have much else I can do anyway, so why not just hold it? Do end up getting another one, so decided to just go all in on the white. Why not? People like Mangus quite a bit. I actually prefer going for the white just because she does a really good job at summoning more followers, and that's what I want. Mangus is great for defensive play, but since there aren't that many AoE effects, especially in a Blood matchup, it's not something I'm usually worried about. If I was in a Dragon matchup though, that's something I would probably prioritize first. So Belf gets their drop really early, which is a great. Whenever Blood can set themselves to 10 against a Swordcraft deck, you know that you're in for a good game.
I'm coming to you.
So turn 4 is looking pretty sharp. I do decide to go for the white just because it's very easy to play, and we get to go 5 to 4 pretty casually. I could have went with Frontline Cavalier and done the same sort of trade and got more value board-wise, but I really wanted to save my Cavalier until I really wanted to use it, so it just wasn't there that I wanted to use that card. Especially since these Blooddringer's brands would have made swift work of my Cavalier anyway. Plus Cavalier now looks really good going into the next couple of turns. So either Luminous or Cavalier are both really good plays. Both have great support for this turn, being able to kill this 4-4 really effectively. I do try to bait out some more removal cards first though before I decide to throw my Luminous to the board. I feel like that was the safer play to make with this deck. And now we're back to having board advantage, which is where you want to be sitting in this kind of match. So second Belf, really looking for that draw power, must have nothing else they can really take advantage of yet, or this is probably just a turn that they could take advantage of this card.
Give me a sign.
So without Arthur being lined up for turn 7, it is looking pretty promising. Although Arthur doesn't have as many targets as standard mid-sword, this isn't a bad deck for it, especially if you could get Cannon to go off beforehand. Then you can have a crazy turn with Arthur where you're constantly pinging cards. So taking advantage, going for the evolve where necessary, just to bolster this 1-2 so that I can trade with both of these effectively. And leaving up a nice 2-3 that has to be dealt with now. Emerald is a great way to do that though, so they do get the perfect card. And now I need to find my own way to deal with this. Unfortunately, Arthur's probably the best one. I mean, Barbaros would have guaranteed it anyway, but I know that I'm going to draw a Quick Blader off this Arthur just because of what cards are in your deck, so taking this route wasn't the worst option. Plus, it leaves me with a pretty nice board, and going into turn 8, I may even get a draw off if I go with Innocent Princess. So Kind Queen Vania, a little bit of a problem, not the card I wanted to see. It's going to allow them to heal quite nicely. And that makes things a little more awkward. So I could have went with the Innocent Princess. This Sky Fortress was just too good of a draw, letting me really bolster our board and trade with everything here really nicely. So we get to remove the entire board and kill off this 3-6, or just go face, sorry. Go face, probably better, because we do put them within lethal range. So any of these cards survive, and we're going to be in a really good spot. Trading also would have been an acceptable play, but I think getting the 7 damage, considering they're only going to be healing 3, was definitely the correct way to go with that turn. So we don't really get much in the way of going for our lethal. Just that one off kind of sucked, so I did prioritize the draw and setting up this ambush, because I know that this ambush can go for game next turn with Princess Juliet, and I get to set up a ward anyway, so why not? Plus Luminous Mage as well will also allow us to go for lethal. Actually, really either way, Luminous Mage set up nicely, could clear any kind of ward. Healing, not really an issue, especially since they just played Razor on themselves. If they had went up to 7, it would have been trickier, but this worked out nicely too. I can also just throw my princess, now double princess, and the queen down all at the same time. So many good options, so many good ways to go for lethal. I decided to take this one because I thought it looked more interesting, even though I could have just thrown the Luminous Mage Evo down, along with Juliet, so why not?
You're tough.
Going to game 2 against Blood. I would have liked to have had more diversity for this deck, but a lot of the other matchups are tricky, especially with some bad draws. It doesn't take much to draw badly. Pitfall was an interesting card in this deck. I couldn't work out why it was in here originally, but after seeing some of the things I come up against, Pitfall kind of made a little more sense. Blood, not so much, because they use a lot of low cost stuff, but if you come up against big costed followers, especially on, say, a sword turn where Arthur comes down,
Victory is right before our eyes.
it's really not too bad. You get to trade with things that you wouldn't normally be able to get rid of, or, well, sorry, destroy things that you wouldn't be able to normally get rid of. So not a great turn. I really couldn't decide where to go. I really just wanted to get this Mars out. I mean, if they deal with it, they deal with it. If they don't, then I get a crazy next turn, but really couldn't come up with any other solution other than playing it. Now, if I had have played this next turn a little better, I think I could have played both of my commanders here, but that didn't really feel like the right play. So I just went with the single Lord, just because I can save my Celia in case I need to flood next turn. And they do go for the Razory, basically negating their damage, which is nice. But I do get to finally drop my Support Cannon. Support Cannon is great with Barbarossa, which is a great way to get it out, especially on this turn where they're really not playing anything else. I mean, they couldn't have done too many crazy turns on turn 5, so I really wasn't worried about that. This 4 damage was probably the most I was going to take, so not really a big concern, and drawing Frontline Cavalier just made that even better. So I did decide to go with this, just because I know I can guarantee the clear on both of these really easily, and I get the Barbarossa back into my hand anyway at the start of my next turn. We also have Round Table, which is going to be an absolutely crazy card with Sky Commander Celia, which will guarantee a full clear on board pretty easily. So there's our Barbarossa, only giving us 8, so it's alright, but not great. We do have Axe Princess as well, which is cool. So that's actually a little better to use because I can save my Celia.
I'm satisfied.
But we do get to go face with Princess Juliet for 4 damage, which is nice. Of course, Razor Synapse annoying me as always. But not too bad at all. We have a good board so far, and a great way to set up with Luminous Mage next turn, or anything else we really want. I mean, we can even drop Barbarossa again. They do get a bit of healing and use Mask of the Black Death to block me out, but really not a problem considering we can easily remove most of this kind of stuff.
You and I, Knight. My sword brings hope.
So we get the ping with this to completely remove it, go for 4. And a Sky Commander for 2 more damage to the face. And a free Evo on any card we want.
It won't be long now.
Really trying to guarantee as much damage as we can over the next couple of turns. Hoping to be able to lethal next turn depending on their play.
Aw, man.
Luckily, obviously drawing nothing gives us the win. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. This deck was an interesting one. Again, slow month, so expect decks like this to be the kind of decks I'm covering more. I will probably try and cover more of the meta decks as well in between, but for the most part I'm just looking for things that might pique my interest that don't usually run cards that you would normally see in the game. So if you did enjoy it, please hit that like button and subscribe. You can also check out the deck list in the description below along with any other important links, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.